Okay.
So the primary contact I'm going to have through the term is Morgan, is what.
Me and Morgan. Me and
Okay.
Morgan. So we're gonna be
Okay.
working.
Okay. So the class starts next week on Tuesday,
Okay.
uh, the 26th, and the class runs once a week on Tuesdays, from 10 a.m. to 12:45, so 2 hours and 45 minutes Eastern Standard.
Okay.
Um, and the way the class is structured is that usually, let me give you the context of the class a little bit, and then we can talk about when it would be best to inject whether you all pre-record some sort of intro or explanation, and I play it at whatever point you want me to in the first week, or put it
Mm-hmm.
up there so the students have it throughout
Mm-hmm.
as they think and contemplate and rewatch. That could be one option. Or we could have you present live to the class and describe the project. But I think there might be, I don't know if you do that with other projects where you maybe like record some sort of what you would say if you were introducing the project to the students.
I mean, I'd rather do it in person so that way if they have any
Okay.
questions, we can ask them and just schedule a time to be available during that time. Because I think it's
Yeah,
more reasonable and it's less work on our time. On
sure.
our time.
Is and what I usually do, since it's structured once a week class for that 3 hours, is basically we go into the class. They have, this isn't gonna, this is something you have to worry about, but generally what will happen is whatever I've asked them to prep, they will have read and done. And then we have a short quiz, and then we would go over the new topics of the week. And then we get into just, it's all project working time mostly, where I'm going around and I'm helping them move the projects forward with specific pieces of documentation, because the whole semester is about building a document that details how people want this application to work, and then
Okay.
start building basic prototypes and flows of what the user might experience as they're using the application.
Okay.
And if one things I do in the first week is I would normally, this is going to be a whole new semester for me too, by the way, because it's
Okay.
you, and we actually have a project with Ripen as well. So we have two projects.
Okay.
They're having us do their documentation and dev flow for their mobile app.
Oh, okay.
Um, so it's completely new. So the milestones are probably going to shift from what I've done in the past. So first week I would usually say, okay, get into groups of two, like pair up, and then um, pick something that either or both of you are interested in, and sort of come up with a paragraph sort of concept of what this uh, app might be. Like come up with just a description. And then in week two, what I would do is they think they're going to develop the app they came up with. I
Okay.
actually have them trade off with other people.
Oh, to see how well they have documented and communicate the process.
So like they think they're going to develop an app. They basically they write down what they want to create in a very sort of meta level, and
Okay.
then they actually have to farm it out to another group, and then
Okay.
and vice versa. And so they're building each other's apps basically, and so it
Oh,
gives that
wow. That's
client.
cool.
So
Okay.
that's what. But now what I'm thinking of doing with this semester is there are 12 students in the class, and I want to give anyone who wants to participate in one of these two Ripen projects the opportunity to do so. So I think this project, yours, will appeal to a subset of students. It could be two students, it could be four students, it could be five students. I don't know, right? Out of the 12.
Okay.
And so what I want to do is introduce them to uh, your project and the project with Ripen itself, and
Okay.
then also, and then whatever's left, and then if there are students who then don't have an inkling to participate in either of those projects, then I'll
Mhm.
send them down the typical route I wouldn't do in the course.
Okay.
But I want them to get the introduction to what your project is about in the first week in some
Okay.
way.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that that time slot is amenable to on the Tuesday. It could be, I like, I think I need that first hour to sort of set context with the students,
Okay.
but anything between 11 and 1, basically, on next Tuesday would be when we could uh, do Google Meet, which is what we use, so I can record it and then I can edit it and put it up on our LMS. Unless you do it and record it and then give me the video that I can have it up for the video for the students, like in our Canvas shell.
Okay.
just so they can rewatch and think about it for that week. Because I give them a week to sort of determine what they want to do, no matter what, for
Okay.
their project for the semester. But does that time slot work okay for you all
Yeah,
introducing the
11
project
o'clock,
to the
yeah,
students?
mhm, yeah, it does. I'll check with Morgan, but, and if not, you saying we can record something, so, right? So
Yeah,
either way, okay,
yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah. Either if you prefer the face to face, they can ask some questions. I think it'll
yeah,
be interesting. They're going to be juniors and seniors, but I know they're also not expecting to be like, I want to have that first hour to give them some context. Be like, hey, we might work. You might be able to potentially work with real clients doing real work out here, and this one involves AI. That's going to perk up, I know, most of their ears, especially
mhm,
since we have access to Claude, Anthropic. Like we have enterprise plan for the entire college,
okay,
um, and so they're going to be really interested in it, I think, and social media on top of that.
yeah.
API workflows. This is in a lot of our students' wheelhouse. So um, if you know that time slot will work, I'd say, how much time do you think you would need to
I mean,
introduce the project?
I would
Half
say
hour?
just say to what we're looking at. I mean, I would like to, because I know me and Morgan, I know I put together a visual for Morgan, and I think she went back and put a visual. So I'm thinking more than 2, 3 minutes to explain what it is with the visual. So I think that that part probably needs to be documented as something that we play to show the workflow or how the data flows. So they'll get a clear
That would be
understanding of
amazing.
that.
You have
Yeah.
visuals for how the data is
Yeah,
flowing.
yeah, I think that that would be great. Because I mean, I would like to see because Morgan has already kind of worked it out, but I really want to see it move through multiple content spaces. Like a client gives us this and they end up with a blog. A client gives us, you know what I'm saying? So I would like to see a lot of content pieces generated once we get that API moving, and they understand how that data flows and how we're going to use those programs. Because we use Zenfolio, so I think it has an API, so we can take original content and do some stuff. So yeah, so she's already worked out an initial way to make the data flow, and then I would like for them to come up with additional ways or additional content spaces that we could also trigger with work orders.
Is there do you have like a document? Like if you have, again, this is my first rodeo with Ripen and working with a client through in this way. Is there a place where you have, I know in the experience in that connection, you listed a bunch of the tools you use and you kind of give some sort of snapshot of what you're looking for. But like that documentation you're talking about, like we've created these visuals that show the data flow or
Right,
what you're hoping to get created.
right.
Where's that document store that the students can start like looking at and exploring
I
and
do click
seeing?
up. So we actually work with click up. So if I can actually send you a link to click up so that you can explore that first, and we'll put all that data in there so that you can take a look at it before class starts next Tuesday.
That'd be great. And then once we know what students are working on the project, is it a thing where they get access to it
Yeah,
or
they
okay,
I assign them spaces and click up. So they actually are using that as a way to be able to communicate with me and a place where they drop their work. So it
cool.
manages the process.
Okay. Let me make a note of that. But you'll get me set up with that this week so I
Yes,
can take
I'll
a look
set you
at
up with ClickUp so you can kind of see what we're how we're that data management, and it's really simple. It
yeah.
allows us to be able to house all that stuff, and then ClickUp then is connected to the Google account, so it's like the central place where we drop documents, place assignments, do tasks, and do it in that space. ClickUp.
Okay. I've heard of it before. I've not used it myself, but I'm sure I'll be able to navigate it.
Oh yeah, it's very. I like it because it's very intuitive. I think it's better than Zoho. I think it's better than Asana. It's got AI interface with it.
Well, that's like one of the good things about these kind of like working these projects is you see the tools that places are using, and the students who may never have been exposed to a particular tool, then when they go to talk to their employers, like, well, the place I worked, I did this project on, they used ClickUp, and so I
Right.
have some experience with that, and this sounds similar to what you're using, like that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Um, okay, so you'll get me access to that, so I can get a little bit of a context myself with your
Uh-huh.
visuals and stuff. At what point, and then if you know a specific time in that 11, I mean, we could say, hey, you want to do 11?
Okay,
Because
hold
one of the
on. let me call Morgan right now. Let's see if I can get her on the phone and see if because my calendar doesn't have anything on it that day.
Hey.
Hey, hey, I'm on the phone with Brian Hall. He is this is the university that we're going to be working with to work on the data flow project for Communiversity. They start class. This is Champlain College. They start class next Tuesday. I've got Brian. I'm in a webinar with him right now. We have the opportunity to present to the class next week between 11 and 1, live or pre-recorded. So how would you like to do this? I want to be there live to answer questions with the students. I told them we have a data flow. Did you want to be there live too to answer questions with the students?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay, and what time is good for you?
Well, I mean, you said between 11 and 1, so.
Yeah, what's a good between the 11 and 1 time frame? What's good for you? Because he's gonna have the first hour to be with the students, so I guess that would be from 12 to 1. Is that right,
Nope.
Brian?
I have them from 10 to 11. I want to set context, but starting at 11, we could start then tapping in.
Okay,
We have you
11?
and Ripen to
Yeah,
both
that's
do
fine.
Is that
presentations.
11? Okay, 11. And so 11 o'clock is okay. So 11 o'clock is good, Brian. We can be there
Yeah.
11.
Oh,
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Morgan. If I
yeah, no
and I
worries.
and I'm recording this, so I'll send it over to you later.
Okay,
All
cool.
right. Mm-hmm. Bye.
All right.
Okay.
Things, because then what I'll do is, because we have Ripen as well, is I'll probably sort of in my mind, I'm going to schedule you all from 11 to 11:30 to kind of have that sort of section, and
Okay.
then from 11:30 to 12, I'll have Ripen
Okay.
and do their thing, and I talk with Margot tomorrow, and so I'll set that up, and then that means I get about an hour to 45 minutes before and an hour to 45 minutes after to
Okay.
give context for the students in the projects. That'll be great.
That sounds good. Okay.
Cool.
So
Um,
I'll get you the ClickUp. I'll send you send that, and then inside the ClickUp will be, and this will be your folder. You can have access to this. You can kind of see in real time what the students are doing and how they're managing the project through this. And then you get to see how ClickUp is so intuitive to I just love it because it is better to me than any other management software.
yeah, I think once I look at that this week, I can get a better idea of what kind of, like, I know what milestones I set. So we had like a 7-phase project we would do with different pieces of documentation.
Okay.
And the thing is I know I can't apply that same template to the different organizations and the way that their workflow might be. And
Okay.
so once I have that, uh, by the second half of this week, I might get some what of my past milestones for the course might line up, or what needs shifted for, like, because they have to submit pieces of documentation every week.
Right.
But and the way I have it structured is it's like a work week. In past years or semesters, it would be on the class was on a Monday, and
Mm-hmm.
all work had to be submitted by 5 p.m. Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And so, which basically then they had the weekend off for the class.
Mm-hmm.
Um, kind of like a normal. I try to get them in that flow of a work week.
Okay.
Um, but it starts on a Tuesday. I I will probably have it so that they can have things submitted by the fall. I'll probably still do Friday. Um, then you would have time, like if they've submitted work on the Friday by 5 p.m., you would have Monday to sort of look at whatever work and whatever, give me feedback info on that phase or that milestone or whatever, and then I can then address whatever the concerns are, or we can have, again, that Tuesday time slot, let's say 11.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to talk to those groups weekly,
Okay. Well, we
um,
can.
that could be like a standing thing where, hey, this is the employer and we're going to check in every week, just like you would with a stand up at the beginning of a week with a company or anything else. You're going to be checking in, and you're going to go over your work that you submitted the previous week, what the expectations are for this week. I'll set up some very sort of, probably once I see your visualization and the flow, what needs done, I'll probably set up some generic milestones for those 7 phases, or
Okay.
for whatever phases make sense. Because there are 7 phases that I've had in the past for the documentation, and
Can
some
you
of
put
them
those in
are.
that? Can you put that template? I know you said you had a template for that. Can you put that in ClickUp once I set you up with that?
Yeah, I'll add like a, yeah, absolutely. I can do like, here's kind of what it looked like in the past, and it's not going to match what you need probably exactly in any way, but it'll give you an idea of the milestones, because depending on the chunk that's happening, like both with the learning objectives of the course and in the project being worked on, some of them are things that can be done in a week. Like the
Mm-hmm.
first one is like this phase one, like proposal they build out and say, like, you kind of have the proposal done in a sense, right? It's kind of what you posted.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I might have them do something where they're uh, reviewing the proposal and the documentation and making sure they understand it. Like I might do something like that as opposed to them writing a proposal.
What I
But
thought about is like because Morgan has pretty much she ran it and she said she got it, but she had a couple more tweaks to it. She said, but it works. I mean, we got it. It works. So I was thinking, okay, once she did that, I was like, okay, I've got this document that has like all the types of content on it. So we give them this almost pretty much done. They tweak it. Then how many more processes can they come up with to be able to trigger the work order? So we kind of thought through the first process. How can you
okay,
take how can you take this? Because the first one is like coming from the API of Zenfolio has original footage, it's got video, it's got blogs. So I'm quite sure we can do a lot with their gate that then because you can actually have an outputted blog to Zenfolio. Then we also have high level. It has it's got chat features, it's got QR codes. So a campaign can get very, very integral with an API gate to high level because it does so many things, including schedule to social media. So I'm
right,
thinking that there are probably a lot of things that they can do with the two programs that we're using. I think the first thing is becoming familiar with those programs and then
yeah,
becoming familiar with the formula for what we use as marketers to be able to understand that for curve of forgetfulness and hitting the consumer 3.29 times inside of a cluttered media marketing place. So I
right,
think they have to understand really the industry of social media before they go to start to develop something that's going to solve an issue for creatives. Does that make sense?
right. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And that's why I don't want to like shoehorn myself into like some sort of milestones just quite yet until I see this stuff and you introduce the project, and then we can start thinking through, okay, we see this flow that's been developed. What else can we come up with? Like, and then start setting those up. It could be that this is a project where the milestones are, a half dozen different new flows
Right,
that
right,
right, as opposed to the typical type. But the important thing that I'm going to make them do along the way, even if they're setting up new API connections or MCP servers or whatever they're doing, right? Or how they're using the tools in the AI, is the documentation along the way. That
okay,
way, if somebody was, because they're going to have to hand it off or someone's going to step in,
right,
there needs to be the documentation of the requirements of what's happening, and how to either further develop it, or so people can read the documentation and understand it,
right,
because it'll get handed off to somebody in some way.
right,
Um, but I want to get a little bit better grasp and give them opportunity to familiarize themselves with the tools, so that that first milestone, instead of them, the students that might participate in this project might not be writing a proposal. We have the information already. It's more about a week of learning, and playing with the tools, like certain expectations around having logged in and spending time with the systems and like learning the flows, reviewing the
right,
documentation you've already developed, and watching whatever you've done. There are some steps that will take. This is the other thing I was going to say was, because there's 7 milestones, but there's 15 weeks. That's because some of the milestones only take a week, but some of the things take 2 weeks to
hmm
implement.
right,
Things that are heavier lift. It's like a little bit heavier amount of documentation, or a little bit more complexity, whatever that might look like. And so there are probably a mix of things that happen within a week, and probably some things that take maybe 2 weeks to do. And that
right,
might depend on how many students are like, man, Brian, I really want to participate in that project. And if I end up with 4 or 5 students, I mean, we'll be able to burn through a lot of stuff really quick just because of the
Okay.
number of students. So it could
Okay.
shift over the semester depending on, after that first week, I'll get a really good idea. I'll know more. The students, I'll know how many students are on the project. If it's 2 students, can't move as fast, do as much work, right? If it's 4 students, well, now we're talking about doubling the output.
Right.
So we'll just have to see where that lands.
Okay. So when I send over ClickUp, I'm going to also send over the passwords. I'm going to make you, I'm going to send you over access to high level so you can see that system. Um, we are working with Zenfolio. I'll send you the passwords to all the software we're working with so you can kind of get an idea of how the data
Okay.
is going to flow through those things.
Okay. And ClickUp will be the visuals that you've created that show how the things get given this content, what gets spit out the other end.
Right. And ClickUp is where we manage the project. So everything that I communicate, it'll be in ClickUp. So all the work goes to one space. Even if you got to go into Google and drop some stuff there, you always start your work coming into ClickUp to see what the assignment is. And that's where we dump assignments.
Okay, because so we use Canvas, and what I'll have to do through the semester is sort of, again, this is my first rodeo with this one, so I'm gonna have to figure out, okay, what's the counterpart, like you said, the word assignment, for example, is like, what's the counterpart I create to that inside of Canvas that's grabbing what each student is doing and being able to assess their work and their level of work. It might be that I look at ClickUp and see what each student's doing. I don't know if there's tracking for
Yeah.
participation and all that stuff within the environment. I'll be able to, hopefully I'll be able to see that when I get in there, but I have to be able to, at the end of the day, as the professor of the course, is assess and assign grades. Whether or not that's the best way to do it, it's the way we do it. But being able to assess each student's level of work and participation and engagement, all these other things, so that I can assign them a grade for each phase or for each of those assignments at
Okay.
the end of the day. And it's something where I can take whatever, I'm assuming in there's a feedback mechanism where you'll be able to talk about what your experience with any particular
I
student.
usually do that. I usually do that with Ripen, but then what I usually do is I assign a job description, and there's
Okay,
a job description and a deliverable for
and
each
that's in Ripen, right?
that's it. Well, Robin asked me for the ultimate feedback for Annie. I usually don't even know how the kids are participating because I'm usually working with the project manager and Morgan's working with the students. So if there's a
Gotcha.
problem, I never know about it because the project manager is not going to tell me about it. And, so because they're going to present the project. But usually there is a job description attached to a deliverable. And within inside of that deliverable, all of these deliverables work together to get the project done. So by the
Gotcha.
time I get it, the project manager probably already solved that problem. But we've only done one project through Ripen, and we didn't have any problems with any work not getting done. So so
Okay.
that was the one test
Well, I
case.
hope that stays true with this one. We'll see. It's a good group of students, so I have faith in them.
Yeah.
Um, I'm hoping, and I think offering the different options of this project to the Ripen project, and other stuff, the students who really want to work on this thing will gravitate to it, and therefore they've chosen it because they probably have some sort of um, passion or interest in this sort of work, right?
Okay.
Um, and if it's like, there's always the students who's like, I don't know what to do. It's like, well, here we go. You're gonna participate on this team. Um, but I know there's like, again, I'm new to it, so I think there's like milestones and things that have to get set up and ripen. I'm talking with our rep tomorrow to walk through a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
So I don't know how much has to be put in ripen versus, like, there's going to be these 3 different platforms in a sense. There's going to be what has to be in ripen itself.
Mhm.
There's on our side, the learning management system, Canvas, the LMS, and then there's going to be what you're doing in ClickUp, and getting those to feel similar and not too disjointed in what the expectations or the milestones or the assignments are is something I'm going to be working on tomorrow whenever I
Okay.
talk with the Ripen rep and say, how do I get that right
Okay.
as an instructor? So I'll
Okay.
be talking with him tomorrow about that.
Okay. All right, so I've got my marching orders for this. I'm going to send you ClickUp. I'm going to send you over the passwords to get into the system so you can see them, and the data flow for how the data is going to flow. And then I'm going to talk to Morgan so she can include what she's currently done in the project so you can kind of see, or any samples that she's also generated from the project.
How would you prefer to do the presentation on Tuesday? Do you want me to send you a Google Meet and then I record it on my end? Or would you prefer to have a Zoom or something we join and you record it and then you share that with me so I can have it available, or you and ClickUp or wherever else make it available to the students? What's your preference around that?
I think that if the students join in, they can see themselves later. And if I have that ability with Zoom, and then I send it to you, then that would be good for me. Can they join the Zoom too?
Well, here's the thing. We're going to be in one classroom.
Okay, okay, got it.
And so it would be like the way it would probably be is I would join via the podium computer.
Okay,
They'll all be able to see you.
okay,
I should be able to set up a camera so you can kind of see the class as a whole,
okay,
as opposed to individual students. Now, once in that first week, in that second week, we'll be able to have, oh, by the way, here's the 3 or 4 students or whoever that wants to participate in this project. Then we can have, uh, what we can do is we can have where even in the class, we can go to a different environment where the students are all at least in one close proximity. You can see their faces and interact with them, start talking through the first big step, uh, or where they all join via their laptops within some sort of proximity or space. But in the first one, introducing it, it's going to be um, where they'll see you and Morgan on this big screen talking about things, and then the mic and the speaker system and everything like that. They'll be able to.
No, I think we want that. I think, and if you could get someone to capture it in that environment and send me all that footage, that would be really great because that could be us telling the story of what this looks like.
Okay.
Okay.
I can certainly make that happen, even if
Okay.
it's me setting up my own phone on a little pod and like
Yeah.
capturing it. And but the way the students will be able to see you on the big projector.
Okay.
You'll be able to your voice will be coming through the speakers and microphone, and then there'll be the microphones the students can use, or I can relay the questions. It'll be smooth,
Okay.
assuming the tech works like it normally does in our labs.
Okay.
Um, but I can also record widescreen format, like with on my iPhone or something like that, and then
Just send that to us. And just what I'm most concerned with is just feeling personable when the student has a question so that we get to see them in a space where I see you now. So it's not like, huh, what they say, and it's
yeah,
really a way to they can see us clearly, but I want to be able to make sure we see them as a way to getting to know them from gate. So maybe they
yeah,
could take the podium space, you have the camera on you, then when you do the class, as they come up and have questions, maybe they can answer and we can see them the way that you guys see us.
sure, it can be like yeah, however that works.
Okay.
And I'll have either if we use Zoom, you would have that recording, whatever. I can record sort of that external third party sort of view perspective as well. Um, yeah, sounds fine.
That sounds good to me. And this is like the big, I mean, this is going to revolutionize the way we do work, and we'll present that the problem that us as videographers, artists have, and from getting underpaid, and then the workload that comes with it. But here's this new AI where all of a sudden now within minutes we can take what's in our heads and be able to have something generated without the cost, without the because it's really a story, right? It's really a story, and so
Yeah,
we can
definitely.
bypass all of that. It's going to revolutionize the way artists create. And so
Yeah,
I'm very excited about this.
yeah, sounds good. I'll have a little bit more information once I look through your stuff and I
Okay.
talk to Ripen tomorrow.
Okay.
And then if you feel like we need to touch base again before next week, we could always touch base again like next Monday.
Okay.
Um, and
I like next Monday. What time is good for you?
I would be free.
That
Uh,
way you get all this stuff and you digest it and we get calm, we can come and
I'm
look at
free I'm free 2 or after.
around this time?
On
Let's say 3:30. Is that good?
okay, that'd be fine.
Okay, 3:30. Oh, wait a minute. Does school start next week? Okay, so school's okay. Let's say 4, because for me, okay, 3:30 is good because my daughter gets out at 2:15. So 3:30 is good because that is
It's fine. Like my kids also start next week. They don't start till Wednesday, so Monday I'm free. I start school. I have class all morning.
okay.
So, but my kids don't, so I don't have pickups yet.
At 24th yet? Is that the 20? Okay, is
25th, 25th.
okay. So that sounds about right. But let's say 3:30, because even if she does, then she gets out at 2:15. So that's good. Okay.
Okay. Well,
All right.
will you send me an invite for that or
Yeah, you can send me an invite. That's good. I've got to run too. I got to run, and I don't want to leave and then not take care of it, because I thought this morning that I answered you at 8 o'clock and realized I didn't until like later.
I don't know if I have your email.
Okay, well then I'll send you one. I'll send you one for 3:30 next week
Okay.
because I've got
At some point, I think at some point during the semester we're gonna be. I don't know how much the communication has to or needs to happen on like Ripen with the messaging versus like
but
when email starts. Like
no, but see, the thing about it is like I can't schedule a Zoom on through the system, and that's what I told her last week. But what happens is they got schools that don't want to pay the charge because they can't afford it, smaller community colleges. So they're reaching out to the businesses and it's like, hey, can we work together without going through Ripen? So that's what they're having that problem because
I'm
everybody.
sure.
So, but you
Yeah.
guys are there, you paid your fee, that made sure that they're not, making connections and
Yeah.
not getting compensated. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, so this is I'll send you the invite, and then I'll put my email address in there because I do have a lot of people that just are doing the email addresses. I like it through Ripem because I can go through and see who needs what. Once it comes to my
Yeah.
email, for me, it's like, okay, who am I supposed to contact? Who am I? So even if we do
I'm
some,
happy to go through with whatever your preference is. And I get an email when I get a new message through Ripen. It's just it tends to, at least not mentally yet, right? This is new to me. Is like the things that as many emails as I have coming in. It's like, what does my brain think I need to pay attention to?
right,
And right now, like Ripen stuff it's been through this setup phase. Now that I know I have working projects, it maybe my brain will switch into that mode. But it's
right,
kind of like primary email sometimes, depending if it's a quick thing, like, hey Brian, we need to talk about blah blah blah. It's
right.
gonna be like email might be the quickest way to get to my
Okay,
attention.
okay. Well, then
But
okay, I'll know that.
generally speaking, if it's about like, uh, I'm happy to work with you in whatever way you want to work. Let me
Okay.
just put it
So
that way.
sounds like email is good for you. So we'll do email, and I will put my email in there so you'll have my email too, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay,
All right.
sounds good.
Ready?
Yeah,
We got
I'm ready.
we got this.
We're gonna have fun. We're gonna build you some stuff.
Yes. Prince dad, Michael Jackson dad, Whitney Houston dad. You know what I'm saying? It's like stop killing off the stars. You can't do.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun. And I'm gonna take care of my chickens.
Yes, do that. And make the kids happy because I know that they're just loving raising chickens. But
Oh, absolutely. It's in fact watching them hatch was like life changing, I'm sure, because it's the craziest thing watching a bird hatch from an egg. It's like the
uh-huh,
craziest thing in the world.
I
Uh,
bet. I bet. One of them is
man,
gonna have a farm.
oh, don't get me started.
Serious.
Uh,
What is that? Like, Dad, come to my farm. He's like, I thought I escaped this. What, you want to be a
all right,
scientist? Have a good one. You
all
have a
right.
good. All
We'll
right.
talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.